Challenge B, this is Latin, a lesson that begins on page 317, and it is putting together the perfect, passive, and subjunctive, which we haven't done yet, so we're going to work on that today. But before we do, I want to give you a little bit of review that's going to be helpful for what you need to know for the lessons in this section. First of all, if you remember back when we talked about indirect questions, that they depend on a verb of saying or asking or knowing. Okay, so I think all of our sentences in this section are going to have a verb of knowing. And when you have an indirect question like that, do you guys remember you have to tense by sequence? And what that means is if the verb in the primary or in the main clause is in either the present, the future, or the future perfect, then the verb that's in the subordinating clause is going to be either in the present if the action is happening at the same time, or in the perfect if the action is happening before. And you'll see when we do an example what I mean by that, but hopefully you remember this. If the main clause is in a secondary sequence, either the imperfect, perfect, or pluperfect, then the subordinating clause, the verb is going to be in either the imperfect or the pluperfect. Use the imperfect if the action happens at the same time, or the pluperfect if the action happens before. So let's look at an example. And this is from exercise 329, and this is number 1. It says, he knew why they had been routed. All right, he knew why they had been routed. Okay, so right away I see that we have this verb knew, which is a verb of knowing. And so that gives me a clue that, all right, if this is, we have to tense by sequence. All right, so he knew, that is in the perfect tense, which is a secondary tense. So our verb over here, had been routed, that's action that is happening before. So over here, we need to use the pluperfect. Okay, so this is tense, but this is a secondary sequence, all right, because perfect is a secondary tense. So we use perfect here, and pluperfect over here because the action is happening before the main verb. Also in our subordinating clause, we know that this is going to be in the subjunctive mood. Okay, subjunctive mood. And also, let's think about the voice. They had been routed, not they were routing, they had been routed, meaning that the action is, they're receiving the action, which that's the passive voice. So let's make a note of that here. So passive. All right, so let's go ahead and start doing a little bit of translating. He knew, this is a new verb that you're learning this week. And the verb is skio, skier, skiwi, skitus. So we're going to use the third principal part, which is, all right, skiv, and then our ending for he, that's third person singular, and new is a fourth conjugation verb, and our ending is it. All right, so skiwit, why, that's cur. Okay, and then they had been routed. Well, it takes us 4 words to say in English. We're going to say it with 1 word in Latin. Actually, 2 words, because when you have the pluperfect, subjunctive, passive, you're going to see that that's a compound verb. All right, and the way that you're going to translate that is you find the perfect participle passive. All right, remember perfect participle passive is the fourth principal part. All right, so this verb routed is pelo, pelir, pepoli, pulsus. All right, so I'm just going to put the stem here. Actually, not pulse, pulse. Pulse. Okay, and if you look in the grammar book, you have three options. You have a masculine, feminine, and neuter. We're going to use the masculine because they had been routed. So we're going to use E, right, pulsi, and then on top of that, you're going to use a verb, a form of the verb to be, and if you look at the pluperfect subjunctive passive, they is third person plural. You'll see that it is assent. All right, and that is from Grammar 282, if you want to look that up. All right, so we would translate skewit cur pulsi assent. All right, now in this exercise, they want you to practice translating several different verbs. All right, so this is, he knew why they had been routed. Let's see if we change the verb instead of routed, let's use the verb, the next one they want us to use is praised. All right, praised. All right, so we know that laudo, lauder, laudavi, laudatus. So the fourth principal part is laudat, and then the ending we would look up, and it is pluperfect subjunctive passive third person plural laudati, and then it would be the same form of the verb to be, laudati assent. Okay. Now, what if instead of praised, we had the verb overcome. Overcome. That is supero. It's a first conjugation verb. So supero, superare, supavi, superatus. The fourth principal part is superat. And then the ending would be E again, and also assent. All right, now let's change instead of overcome. I'm going to leave the assent there because they're all going to have assent. The next one is called. They had been called. Well, you know, it's woko, woker, wokawi, wokatus. It's the first conjugation verb. So wokat is the stem. Wokati, assent. All right, let's pick a verb that's not in the first conjugation. Let's see. All right, killed. Killed. That is a third conjugation verb. It's okido, okidir, okidi, okisus. So let's look at the fourth principal part. Okis, and then the ending okisi, assent. Okay, so you're gonna just work through those. Just remember that you have to tense by sequence because this is a verb of knowing. So this is in the secondary tense. So we look over here, and this is going to be either imperfect or pluperfect, and we chose pluperfect because the action is happening before they had been killed. All right, have a great day.